Hey everyone, in this video we are going to understand about loops. So loops are another fundamental concept that we have in programming. So remember in the fundamental section when I taught you about if-else, I told you that if-else is a control structure, right? Now loops are also a control structure. Now what is loop? Very simple. If you want to iterate over a fixed number of times, you would simply use loops. Now loops has different type of advantages as well, but just keep it simple, okay? And you are going to understand all of the things that revolves around loops. So if I tell you to print this statement 10 times, what would you do? Let's suppose that an analogy, right? If I tell you that you started going to gym and the first day you did 10 push-ups, write it in an English sentence using programming syntax. How would you do this? You would simply say console.log, I am exercising and did 1 push-ups 10 times, right? So literally you would do this console.log and write X, and then it would show up. And to repeat it, you will simply duplicate the line of code and you will say 2, 3, so on and so forth. Okay, let's keep it only till 3 console.log statement, and you get it. Why to do this? This is wet code. You are writing everything twice. You can use a very simple loop. Now, I will first write the loop and then I will explain it. So let's say that I want to replicate something like this. So I went to gym and I hit 10 push-ups. So if I have to print that into a statement, I would simply use a for loop. So I can say for, the syntax for loop is simply just write for and then this set of parentheses, and that's it. And then we have this block as well. So here you write an expression that evaluates to true or false, and then this condition actually executes. So here we have 3 parts. The first one is the initialization. So let me write it, initialization, and then after this we have condition and then increment. Again, I'm gonna explain everything, just be patient. So here you have to initialize. So see, you are going to print these statement 10 times, right? So you have to keep track of from where the statement started and from where it is stopping. So here you literally just create a variable. So I'm going to call it push-up repetition. Just call it push-ups. I'll say let push-ups, and initially I will set it to 0 because we are going to start our push-up from nothing. Or should we set it to 1? Anything, 0 or 1, just keep it at 0. And after this you write this condition. So how long you want this loop to run? Well, I want this loop to run until push-up matches to less than 10. So here I can say push-ups is less than 10. Okay, and after this we increment this, and notice how I am separating them with a semicolon. Okay, so this is mandatory. Now here you increase the push-up repetition by 1. So here you say push-ups equals to push-ups plus 1. Now let me explain you what is happening. So first push-up is 0, right? So this will be like this, so 0, and after this it will be checked, hey, is push-up less than 10? This will print true, push-up is less than 10. So if push-up is less than 10, just do this one, push-up equals to push-up plus 1. So now 0 will become 1, and then whatever you do inside this, it will be printed. So let's just do this one or the first one. Okay, there you go. If I save this, you see it says 10. So this statement will not be printed 10 times, but this will indicate that okay, so developer tools printed this statement line 10 times. So I am exercising and I did 1 push-up, but you can see that each time we are just printing that I did 1 push-up, but I have to do something like this. I am exercising and did 2 push-ups, 3 push-ups, something like this. So for this I can use a template string. I can use this template string, and here other than saying 1, I can directly combine the value for push-ups. Okay, so now it will be like I am exercising and did push-ups, 0 push-ups, 1 push-ups. Okay, so if you save this, you see we get I am exercising and did 0 push-ups and then 1 push-ups, 2 push-ups, and then we get the value till 9. So let's now analyze these lines of code and try to understand for loop in a little bit more efficient way. And now before we start, I can say that remember I told you that if you have this line of code, which is pushup equals to pushup plus 1, you can write this shorthand for that, that is pushups plus plus, and this will equivalent to saying pushup equals to pushup plus 1. This just increments the value, the current value, with 1. Okay, so and you'll see that there is no changes. Now let's say that now this value is 1. Okay, so now current value is 1, and now again it will be matched from here. Is 1 less than 10? Of course 1 is less than 10, so now it will again be evaluated to some spacing issues, true. And now 1 will be incremented, so now it will become 2, and this line will be printed, and now it is 2, so again it will be checked for 2. Is 2 less than 10? Definitely 2 is also less than 10, and since 2 is less than 10, do the same thing, it will increase it to 3, and it will keep happening until we get till 10. So here when we will find 10, is 10 less than 10? False, 10 is not less than 10. Increment will stop, and then we will exit from the loop, and now you will see that we are only getting I am exercising and did 9 push-ups. Why? Because we don't count the last index. So if you want to count the 10th index as well, then you'll have to do something like this: push-ups less than equals to 10, and now this will actually be true because 10 is not less than 10, but yeah, of course it is equal to 10. Okay, so if you save it, now you get I am exercising and did 10 push-ups. So this is very simple for loop. Okay, and this would actually be true by now because we are using less than equals to, so it is true, and so it will increment to become 11. And now when you evaluate 11 is definitely neither equals to nor less than 10, so now the execution will stop. So this is a very simple for loop. You use for loop to repeat a line of code a given number of times. For example, if I tell you to print from 100, you simply say for, I'll say let num equals to 0, and then you say num should be less than equals to 100, and then keep incrementing num plus plus, and then simply you do console.log num, and when you do this, you'll get we will get the output from 0 to 100. So we get the output from 0 to 100. If you want 1 to 100, just initialize from the 1. Okay, so now we will get from 1 to 100. So this is a very simple for loop. I know this is complete basics. Okay, so I tried to summarize all of them as easily as I could have. Okay, now another principle for loop is to iterate over an array. So let me quickly create an array. I will say dummy array equals to, it is very common in programming to iterate over an array and print entire item or entire data individually. How can we do this? Well, very simple. We can fetch the data from its indexing position, right? So we can do something like this. Dummy array of 0 index will give you true. The first index will give you false, right? But again, if you'll have to do this, you'll have to repeat these codes, right? Console.log dummy array 0, 1, 2, 3. It would be same as doing this one. So this is wet code. Write everything twice. We don't want to do this. We do not do this in programming. We write dry code. So we can use for loop to iterate over this array and print each data individually. So let's do it, and then I will explain it. So here we just do for, okay, and then a very common variable that we use while initializing our initializer variable. So far we have used discrete variable names like num, but we use I and j. Most common is I. So here to initialize the variable name, we can say let I equals to 0. Okay, and so I is a very common initializer variable that we use inside of the for loop. Of course, you can use any variable name. You can say John Wick. There will be no problem at all, but just to keep it very simple, you just do I, because for loop is a block in itself. It does not have any literal meaning. You use for loop for once and then you forget it. Okay, so there is no need to become variable friendly. You just want to do something inside of this expression, actually inside of this parenthesis, which will evaluate to true or false. Okay, and so you do this, you do something this is a dummy array. This name is important, the variable naming here is important, but the variable naming convention here does not require too much effort. Just keep it very simple, call it I, j, k, the most common is I. Okay, and then after this we want to iterate up to something. Well, what is up to something? Well, that is the length of this array. So that's why when I click it, you see that the tab 9 is automatically suggesting me that, hey, do you want to iterate over dummy array.length, which would be, I don't know, I don't want to count dummy array.length. So yeah, I surely want to. So if I click here, you see my for loop is completed. So now let me explain you. So initializer is 0 and then we are looping till dummy array.length. So if you count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, this is the indexing variable, right? So if you console.log dummy array.length, you will get the length. So console.log, I can tell you straight away the length of array, but again I want to show you something. Length, if I save this, we will get 5. Okay, so manually you can write 5 as well, but again if you write 5, then you will always loop until 5. So now if you write 5, if you insert some data inside this array, for example, let's say that now you inserted many data like 8, 90, 80, 40, 30, this for loop will only iterate till the 5th data. So 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and it will ignore all of these. How can we fix this? Well, for this you just say dummy array dot length. You don't have to tell the for loop that you have to iterate over this many number of times. You simply say dummy array.length and this will tell the for loop that, hey, you have to iterate over this dummy array till its length is covered. So now you have to say dummy arrays index of I, because we are iterating over each of the individual items and then we are getting the data saved here. So we want, because this is 0, 1, 2, right, an array are 0 based. So if you say dummy array at index 1, in the first attempt it will be same as this one. So dummy arrays index 0. In second attempt it will be dummy arrays index 1. So something similar to this 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, so let me write the execution phase. So first let I equals to 0. Yes, 0. Is 0 less than dummy array.length? Yes, dummy array.length would be somewhere around, I don't want to count, but it will surely be less than 0. So increment will increase, so 0 plus 1 will be 1. So now it will be 1. So is 1 less than dummy array.length? Dummy array.length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yes, 1 is less than 9. So it will also evaluate to true. And now this 1 will increment to 2. And this execution will keep running until this condition is satisfied. So now if you save this, you get the entire data back. True, false, John Wick, this. But if you do not do dummy array.length, but if you manually write 5 or 6, now you see that our entire array is not covered, but only we get the first 5 values and the remaining 4 values are were not iterated. Okay, so always use dummy array.length actually. Okay, not dummy array.length but array.length. So if you save it, you get the entire data out of the array. So this is very simple this is very simple task that we have to very often perform while programming, iterating over an array. So whatever we did till now, this is all called as forward looping. So we looped all the way from beginning to the end. So now let me tell you about one more task we very often perform on an array, and that is backward looping. All of this will become crystal clear just in a moment. Now just to clarify, I reduced the data inside of this array. Previously we had 8 to 9 items, but now I just kept it very simple. So I deleted all those extra data like 40, 80, 90. Okay, so yeah, this is forward looping. What is forward looping? See, we looped on this array from forward, so all the way from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 0 to 4, so printing data all the way from true to weak. So from 0 all the way to 4. Now in interview you can be asked to loop on an array from backward. So this is a very general question that is very often asked to a beginner, to loop over an array but from backward. So I thought that I should include this one as well while teaching you about loops. So let's now understand what is backward looping. So first let's analyze what we did so far. So we looped all the way from 0 to 4, okay, and well, not 4 but I think 3. So 0 1 2 3. Now we have to loop backwards. So now I want you to print week John false true. So now we have to find a way to loop all the way from 3 to 0. So now let's write code for this analogy, so this kind of scenario, okay. So again I'm just going to use this for loop, and now let's say let I, and what do you think will be the initializing value? Should it be 3? Well, it should be 3, but do you think we should hard code it here? No, because imagine if we have 10 more data, it will only evaluate till the third index, so 0 1 2 3. So other data will be ignored. So we should never hard code that here, but we should let the program itself decide that what should be the initializer. So what is this 3? What is this 3? Well, this 3 is the length of this array minus 1, okay. So if you say dummy array dot length, it will give you 4, and so if you want to find out the initializing value, you just have to decrease minus 1 to it. So instead of hard coding the value, we can simply say dummy array dot length minus 1, and then after this we will write the condition. So we want to decrement, so we will write the condition. You can see tab 9 is suggesting us, but I'm just going to write manually. I'll say until I is greater than or equals to 0, and then here we will say I minus minus, and then you just have to say console.log of dummy array I, okay. So if you save, now you get all the data printed backwards. So now let's see how this code is analyzing. So first let I equals to dummy array dot length minus 1, that is 3, okay. So 0 1 2 3, so 3, we are starting all the way from backward, so 3, and then it will be checked, is 3 greater than or equals to 0? Yes, it is. 3 minus 1, so that will be 2, and then again it will be evaluated for 2. Is 2 greater than 0? Greater than or equals to 0? It surely is true. 2 is greater than or equals to 0, and then 2 minus minus, which will be 1. Now is 1 greater than or equals to 0? Definitely it is. So now we will come to 0. Now is 0, I think, why am I writing this true here? I don't know, some indexing issues. But now is 0 greater than or equals to 0? Let's figure out. So if I say console.log, because this can be a very well point of confusion, is 0 greater than or equals to 0? If you save, line 269 says true, okay. So it will also give you true, so the data for 0 will also be printed. But now what is happening? 0 minus minus, so 0 minus 1, that is minus 1. So is minus 1 greater than or equals to 0? Let's see. Is minus 1 greater than or equals to 0? False. So now this part is false, and so loop will terminate. So that's how you are getting the data. So first you are getting the data for third index, that is false, then the second index, that is John, so third one is week, then we have this John, then false, this true. So this false is coming from this console.log, okay. So I mistakenly added that. So first we are getting the data for third index, that is week, then second index, which is John. Similarly for first index we get false, and then the very last, that is 0th index, we get true, and then loop terminated because when we went to minus 1, this evaluated to false, okay. So this is a very simple backward looping. This is a very general concept, but this is very confusing as well, okay. So I thought that since this might be a very well question coming in interview, I should discuss it while talking about for loop. Another type of loop that we have in JavaScript is while loop, and understanding this loop is also very easy. So you just write this while and then There you go. So this block of code will keep executing while the expression that you pass inside these parentheses will evaluate to true. So in pure English, it would be like simply saying while this is true, keep doing. Okay, so very simple. Now we write this while loop little bit differently. So inside while loop, first here if you observe the for loop, we have the initializer, and then we have the condition, and then increment. But in while loop we do not have anything like that. We write while loop little bit differently. So first here we are going to write what expression. So let's say what number. Let's say that we want to print from 0 to 10. So I can say number should be less than equals to 10, and that's it. Now for this you will have to create a global variable. So outside of the while loop you will have to declare this number variable. So you can say num equals to 0. Okay, and now here you simply say console.log number, and then you increment it. So you say number plus plus. So this while loop is checking that if number is less than equals to 10, console.log number plus plus. So in first iteration it will check number 0 is less than 10. Yes, true, it is less than 10. So this entire expression will evaluate to true. Okay, which means that number will be 0, and now number will be evaluated to become 1. Okay, and now this number will again become 1. So 1 is 1 less than 10. Of course 1 is also less than 10. So this expression will again evaluate to true. So now 1 will be printed, and then similarly we will get 2. Okay, so let's quickly shift that back. I hope you understood the analogy. So number is less than equals to 10. So if I save this, you get data from 0 to 10 printed right here. So this is a very simple while loop. So while loop is very versatile, and this is very powerful. So this is part of something you can call as a bigger way of writing a loop, or iterating over some kind of data that has bigger impact on our applications. Now again, I'm keeping it very simple. I could have explained this in really very details, but I don't think that would really be that would be too much at this point. Okay, so keep it very simple. Now always remember that whenever you write expression inside this this parenthesis, this should not be true for an eternity. For example, if you do something like this, while 10 is less than 20, console.log 10 is less than 20. Never do something like this. This will be eternally true. Okay, so 10 will always be less than 20. So this will always evaluate to true, right? So if you do something like this, you will see that your browser will start to freeze. So if you save, just in a moment, you see can you see the repetition? We get the output this many times, and if you keep waiting for at least 10 to 20 seconds, you'll see this will keep increasing, and eventually it will lead to freeze your browser. So if you try to do something, for example, if you refresh it, it will not stop. You can't click this button. Even though if you click, the loop will keep to increment the number. And if I tell you practically, my laptop started to heat little bit. Yeah, I'm not lying. Okay, so this may be the fact that I've been recording from last 10 minutes, but still yeah, it is getting quite heated up. So if I keep the mic on for 2 minutes, you will see the fan moving very fast. But I just want to tell you that never do something like this. Don't write loops that will eternally be true. So if I try to write something, can you see my browser is freezing. If I hit enter is not getting observed. Okay, I'm hitting, it is not getting observed because the browser is freezing. I'm not able to drag and drop it. Can I? But it froze down. Yeah, the browser is freezing. You can see it. the preloader is moving very slowly. So this is a symbol that browser has started to freeze. So I will have to start the recording as well as I'll have to start the browser. Okay, so yeah, good luck. From now onwards we are going to start understanding document object modeling. We have completed the complete fundamentals of JavaScript programming language. So do make sure to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay safe, happy coding. Gonna start it real quick.